Hello, in this episode of Working with Wonder, I'm going to do kind of a quick introduction of causes of death. I'm not really going to show you how to extract the information per se so much as show you the different levels of causes of death that are in the system. I'm going to be using the underlying cause of death database. And to keep it simple, let's just look at 2020. And we're going to start at the lowest level and work our way up. So I'm going to group results by just plain cause of death and send. When you do this, it's going to give you the most detailed level of the code that is in the system. And this is the ICD-10. And I think it's International Classification of Diseases, 10th edition or whatever. And there's supposed to be 11th one coming out, I guess. And you'll see that it's in order, ABC order, alphanumeric order, A00.9, and I hope it's loaded up everything. Gives us the number of deaths, it gives us the code, and then in parentheses, kind of a description of it, number of deaths, population, and crude rate. I'm going to see if it's going to go all the way to the bottom. Okay. It goes all the way to Y. Okay. Sequelae of war operations. Okay. So I'm going to sort this list. This might take a while. Let's see if that's going to work. Okay. So this, you'll notice, is U07.1 is COVID-19. And when I sort it this way, it's at the top of the list. And you may be wondering, hey, wait a second. I thought that COVID was number 3 in 2020, and it is. And that's because we use the rankable list, which I will show you in a moment. In any case, this is the lowest level, the most detailed level you can pull the cause of death from the Wonder system. This can get very, very detailed, and I'm going to go all the way to the bottom. It has hidden all the 0 rows, and I don't even want to look at it. So all we're going to have at the bottom are the deaths where it's only 1. So during injection okay, let's see. Accident on board watercraft without accident to watercraft, not causing drowning, and submersion merchant ship. These are kind of shorthand descriptions of what happened. This was an accidental death. So the V's are accidental deaths, I think, with motor vehicle and bus occupant injured in other specified transport accidents, that kind of thing. Most of these are, of course, grouped under, so we have various birth defects and stuff you can see here. So there's a variety of groupings where you just have one person in that very, very specific code. Uh, this is not useful for tracking or ranking or anything like that. Most people are not that interested in something that detailed. So let's go back to our request form. Okay, cause of death is the most detailed. So let's try ICD subchapter. Okay, I'm going to send it and see what we get. And so now we get kind of a bigger grouping of those. You get a letter and then numbers. Okay, and so now you can kind of see how they're grouped. Again, remember that COVID was in here. It was U07, and the U's are kind of like unknown, and these are the provisional ones. They're kind of placeholders until you can get a permanent code. And so you can see, okay, other external causes of accidental injury is W's. Transport accidents are the V's. There we go. Or V0, yeah, V01 through V99. So it's a letter and then two digits. And for subchapter, you can see that you can have parts that are um, divided up into little bits. Okay, so that's subchapter. So let's do chapter. Go back to the request form. We'll do chapter. Do send. And now for chapter, we get very, very large groupings. So diseases of the circulatory system, neoplasm, so all the cancers together, pregnancy, childbirth, and the puerperium. Okay. Diseases. Yeah, so you get various groupings. They're very, very large. Codes for special purposes are the U's. And then external causes. So that's where we get the suicide, homicide, accidental causes are in this V to Y. So you can see these very, very large categories. So cancer, being in there and heart disease being in here. But some of these include, like, stroke is in here. So some of these this is too big of a category for ranking purposes. This is the problem with cluster analysis. Like, how big should your clusters be? I've already shown 15 leading causes of death. Now, if I do 15 leading causes of death, it will just give us the 15 leading causes of death for the particular set we're pulling from, which is 2020. We just get the 15 leading causes of death, which pulls from the ICD-10 113 cause list. And let's use that. Okay, so this 113 cause list is a special breaking up of that ICD in terms of chapters, subchapters. And you can see it tells you which chapter, subchapters it's in. So A01 to A02, A03, comma, A06. So A04, A07 through A09. So you can see this whole list, pardon me, which will cover the entirety, maybe, which will cover the causes of death, the major causes of death in certain categories. It's kind of got a hierarchy to it. You can see there are things that have this hashtag on it. That's important. But you'll also see some will be all the way to the left and some are indented. The ones that are indented are proper subsets of the things that are above. So they overlap. So you can't just add these up. Some of these overlap with each other. So the respiratory tuberculosis is a subset of tuberculosis. Here, the malignant neoplasms, which is cancer, is broken up into the different kinds of cancers. So we can see here's lung cancer and other, parts of the lungs. We have breast cancer here, prostate cancer. So both breast and prostate cancers are major cancer deaths. Lymphoid okay, so blood cancers, Hodgkin, non-Hodgkin lymphoma, leukemia, various blood cancers, blood, lymph, etc. Anemias, diabetes, nutritional deficiencies. This is one I've noticed. It's not a huge number, but I've noticed it's been going up, and I believe it's been mainly among older people. So that's kind of one I've been keeping my eye on. Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, major cardiovascular diseases. So this is kind of like one of the chapters, and then we have heart diseases below, and then ones, and you can see it keeps getting indented. So we have under there, so ischemic heart disease, so acute myocardial infarction. Okay, that's your heart attack. But then we have some other ones, other heart disease, heart failure, hypertension, stroke, arteriosclerosis, flu and pneumonia, notice this breakout. And this is for 2020. By the way, we could have picked a different year. Might have been a better idea to pick a different year. In most years for flu pneumonia, okay, I never explained. This hash next to it means it's a rankable cause. So when we do the 15 leading causes of death query, it's going to be ranked out of these things that have this hashtag or pound sign to the left. The ones that don't have a pound sign are not used at all in doing the query. Okay, chronic lower respiratory. And so underneath that, you have emphysema, asthma, other chronic lower respiratory, bronchitis. So you can kind of see how those break out. Liver disease, okay, alcoholic liver disease versus other liver disease. So this is pleasant. Um, okay, kidney failure. Okay, so a lot of kidney disease, kidney failure. Okay, so accidents, and here's where we get it broken out. Transport accidents, motor vehicle accidents. So most transport accident deaths are motor vehicle. Then we get others land and water, air, space. Non-transport. Then we see the non-transport broken out by falls. Accidental discharge of firearms. This is very low. People have asked. It's very low. Intentional deaths caused by firearms, high, and mostly suicide. Drowning. Drowning's very high, relatively. Smoke, fire. Uh, Accidental poisoning. Okay, so this is where this is where drug overdoses go. Accidental poisoning and exposure to noxious substances. It's not obvious. If you were looking for drug overdoses, you probably wouldn't think of looking here, but this is where it is. Accidental poisoning and exposure to noxious substances. Here is suicide, and yes, anyway. Then there's homicide. So it's broken out by firearm related homicide and other. There you go. Legal intervention. And then other things are broken out, war related and some other stuff. And then we have COVID at the very bottom. So COVID was added to this list of rankable causes. There's a 130 cause list, which is different, and it's intended for use in infant mortality. So let's do this without restricting the age. This is done. Okay, so they do force you to only apply it to under 1 year. Okay, so I'll do it only under 1 year. There you go. Okay. Okay, so this is the infant mortality. So this is for all the deaths for those under age 1 year in 2020. And they have their own special list. Someone was asking me, I didn't use this. You can use the 113 list on infants. The 130 cause list can only be used on infants for the request. So those are the different levels of causes of death in the underlying cause, or if you do the multiple cause of death, those are the different levels. They're using the ICD-10. In this database, they use ICD-10. You can actually get earlier databases that use ICD-9, and I'm trying to remember if one of them uses ICD-8. A lot of there are ways that you can map the different codes to earlier versions. A lot of the times, the rankable causes are the ones that you really want to track, like cancer or heart disease. You're going to be able to map the causes from one set over to the other. Often it's like the level of detail or the way certain items are defined that change. I don't really do that too often. I'm aggregating at very high levels to do the kind of analysis I'm doing. And I'll do a few more videos where I'll show you, how you can drill down into which particular ones you want. So you can see there's a particular area where you can dig into the specific causes of death you want to do. So I will demonstrate how I got the rankable causes of death and how I have been using it for my own analysis. So Look out for that video. See y'all.